Hi folks, Sam here from Healing Arts from the Dark Hearts, coming at you with my second class of the series. Today we're going to learn about how to make a tincture the right way. So, what is a tincture? A tincture is an alcoholic or vinegar extract of a plant. So, like we discussed in the previous class, every plant has different active constituents. There are different methods to extract different constituents to have the medicinal effect on the body that you want, but we're not going to go over that. That's pulling away from the folk herbalism and pushing more towards the clinical herbalism. What you're going to need is an herb of your choice, a clean surface, gloves, alcohol, either 80 proof or 100 proof, and we'll discuss on which one you'll need further in the class. A measuring cup or a bowl, whatever you need, just some kind of holding device, a scale, some labels, and a marker. I do suggest to you to get the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook by James Green. This is one of my favorite handbooks that I have. I refer to it still to this day, and it's how I began my journey with medicine making. But it's not necessary. We're going to go over everything that you need to know in this class. Anyways, so one thing that I definitely want to highlight is where you resource your herbs from. So this mullein, it comes from Cutting Root Apothecary. It's a farm about 30 minutes north. I understand that they're women ran. This is organic and high quality herb. So just like the body, you know, I exercise and eat really well, and I have all the vitamins and nourishments to offer, right? It's the same with your plant and your herbs. If you get something that doesn't have enough sunlight and enough water and isn't organic and has all the chemicals in the dirt and the compost, you're not going to get the medicinal effects that you need because those active constituents will be weak in that plant. So it's important to source as locally as possible and as organic as you can get, and if you can, grow it yourself. It's very rewarding at the end of the day. We're not in this class going to do the folk method of making a tincture, believe it or not. The folk method is essentially just eyeballing the measurements of the herb and the alcohol. Now the problem with that is that, for instance, this is mullein, right? This is light, it's fluffy. This is an ounce of the herb. Now if I were to put the same amount of alcohol in this and eyeball this as the gotu kola, which is more dense, and that's an ounce, you're not going to have the same medicinal effect because you're not going to have the same consistency in the extraction. And we'll go over the math of all of that after we do the process. So we're going to do the 1:5 ratio today. So essentially with dried herbs, you're going to do 1 part herb, 5 parts alcohol. Now that's with dried herbs that are flowers, stems, or leaves. With roots, you're going to use 100 proof alcohol. This is 80 proof with these. With fresh plants, I don't recommend it, but if you have to for whatever reason, hopefully you can wilt them at least. I don't recommend it because there's so much water in those fresh plants. But if you do, the ratio is 1 part plant, 2 parts alcohol, and you're going to use 100 proof on those. Today we're just doing dried plants, dried herbs. Refer to my notes over here. So essentially, we're going to just do the gotu kola. And this is 1 ounce. This is 5 ounces of alcohol. All you do is pour it in. It doesn't quite cover it, but it will get there. It'll break down a little bit. You throw a lid on it, shake it up, and it will settle. Now, I later after this class will fill this up with another ounce and another 5 ounces of alcohol to probably even it out. I might have to finagle the math, and that's why I'm not going to do it. But essentially, that's all you have to do with a tincture. And then with your label, you'll put your common name, and then you're gonna put your Latin name, your start date, so today's date, and then your finish date. Now your finish date, if you're gonna do it my way, is gonna be 6 weeks from now. I've seen people do 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and 4 weeks. I think that's kind of absurd. 6 weeks seems to be pretty optimal to me. It does depend on the heat of the room that you're keeping it in. Some people put them in pressure cookers. That's just, you're not a factory. I highly advise against that. We're not the McDonald's of the herbalism industry. There's no reason to rush your plant medicine. Now, if you want to throw it in the sun and give it some sun medicine, that's definitely encouraged. But there's no reason to force any kind of expediting process with it. And you know, if this is for my personal use, if this was for my herbal practice for selling, I would use gloves. I would have wiped down the whole surface. I would have made sure everything's washed. I mean, everything is washed here and this is clean, but I would have definitely used a different surface. So 6 weeks later, you're gonna strain it. I use a stubble strainer, so I have a mesh strainer, and then I also have cheesecloth. Sometimes you use the cheesecloth to get the rest of the tincture out. And then you're gonna store it in you can store it in a jar like this and throw a paper bag over it, or store it in a cool, dark place in your closet. That's what I do, but I also keep them in a dark jar like this. These are pretty great. They can be a little bit expensive. I'll put a link at the bottom for a cheaper method. I do encourage you to go onto Etsy and find a local place. If you can't afford it though, that's okay. Specialtybottle.com definitely is a good place to get cheap bottles. And I'll put that link in the bottom of the video. So I'm going to refer to my notes here because sometimes numbers I kind of get backwards. But so with a tincture, ideally a 1 to 5 tincture is the amount of like 20 grams of herb per 100 milliliters, okay? And then a 1 to 10 ratio tincture delivers the action of 10 grams of herb. And you do that a lot with roots, the 1 to 10 ratio. You can do research, and that information is also in this book if you can wrap it up. And then fresh plants, a 1 to 2 tincture, 1 to 2 ratio tincture is 50 grams of herbs for every 100 milliliters of tincture. And this is important because if you do go by this ratio, you actually know what kind of dosage that you can give to individuals. Now, it's 30 drops or 1 milliliter, 1 to 3 times a day, you know, depending on what the herb is. But if it's an intense herb like chaparral, I only can do maybe 5 or 6 drops before it induces vomit. So it just depends on the body, it depends on the medication that you're going through. Please make sure you look up the contraindications of whatever herb you're using. If you're on any medication, pharmaceuticals, or even your daily vitamins, it could have a contraindication. So please be aware of that. And then as far as dosage goes, like I said, it's 1 to 3 times a day, usually 1 milliliter, but it depends on what kind of action, and you can do some more research on that. And then if you aggressively want to attack something, put it under your tongue, it gets to the bloodstream faster that way. So storing your herbs, make sure they're in a cool, dark, dry place. Like I said, I put mine in the closet. When I lived in a camper, I just kept it in the fridge, and I just ate dry goods and had all my tinctures in the fridge, which was pretty neat. They stayed pretty good that way. Tinctures are usually good to 18 to 24 months. That is the general rule. I don't sell anything past 18 months, but I don't usually have that problem because it usually sells out before that. The idea though is that it can go up to 5 to 10 years. You just have to taste it for the consistency and the potency. And as your skills and your senses and you get to know the herbs and the actions and the tincture as well, you'll develop a relationship with that and be able to tell. And then in the next class, or maybe a few classes down the line, because it's a little bit more advanced, we'll talk about formulating tinctures, how to basically take different tinctures, make a blend, and get it to do the action that you want it to do. And that's pretty much it. If you want to check out www.sambones.com, you can see all my tinctures, you can see how I formulate things and see the science behind it and the active constituents, and just kind of get a feel for what I have. Feel free to pick up a product if you'd like. Definitely make sure you hit that like button on this YouTube video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. All right, thanks y'all. Stay safe out there.